She's her phone. I don't know where she is. For a long time.
All right, we are live. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 1st, 2025 Litchfield School Board meeting. It is now 5:45. We're starting a few minutes late tonight. I'm going to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board is a couple of members down tonight, so we are operating with the three-member board as a quorum this evening. Moving into our agenda, we have review and revision of tonight's agenda. Any changes? Nope. Hearing and seeing none, we have consent agenda. Anything off consent tonight? Okay, hearing and seeing none. We have summary of non-public actions from our September 17th, 2025 meeting. Ms. Ames motion to approve the September 3rd, 2025 non-public minutes. Mr. DeWitt seconded that motion. That motion passed 4-0. Ms. Ames nominated Margaret Clinton as part-time occupational therapist at GMS. Mr. Cutter seconded that motion. That motion passed 4-0. Ms. Ames motion to adjourn the non-public session at 7:56 p.m. Mr. Cutter seconded that motion. That motion passed 4-0. We'll move it right into presentations tonight, and we are having tonight with a cell phone.
Yeah, so I'll give just a little overview. The state of New Hampshire passed a new law around personal communication devices in schools, which required us to create a policy. So we have policy JICJ, which we approved a couple of meetings ago. When we approved that policy, we said we'd give it about a month in the schools and then have a forum open to our community to come in and share their thoughts. On the agenda, I just linked to the 3 handbooks for the schools. And to the page where they start to reference their procedures related to personal communication devices, but we're really talking cell phones is the vast majority of what we're dealing with right here. So before any of my commentary, I'll save my own for the end because allow others to speak. I just wanted to turn open the mics and allow people to voice their opinions on it.
Excellent. We'd love anyone to come up and share your thoughts, and as you come up, please just say your name and address.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for starting off.
No problem. Robin Corbeil, Fornes Smith Court, also a computer science teacher at Litchfield Middle School, and I could not be more thrilled with the cell phone policy that's in place now. I feel like the whole climate of our building is better than it's been in 5 years. The kids seem happy. I don't have any battles to get the phones into the box. They're pretty good about it. And I love that they come back at the end of the day. And I get to see them for 5 minutes and see how their day was going. The 8 that put them in the boxes, so it's been really, really good. And I've noticed as a teacher that when my watch vibrates, how your focus shifts. And so I'm glad they don't have them in their pocket because I think even that vibration shifts their focus from what they're learning in class to what was that notification, what is it about? So I can't be happier. I think it's been great.
Awesome, thank you.
Elizabeth McDonald, Campbell High School teacher, Litchfield resident, 46 Nanticoke Ave. I'd like to echo what was just said at the high school. It is so nice to see kids' faces instead of the top of their heads like this. Mm-hmm. To see kids talking at lunch, to see kids talking in advisory, playing games together, kids talking to kids they would never talk to. I think she's gonna kill me. I'm getting the evil eye. And at some level, I think they appreciate it. I think it led to a lot of anxiety in school when they felt the vibration, like she said, and they feel the feel of they're missing out on something. Do you know what I mean? And they do seem happier. They're a little annoyed. They can't get instant gratification. But I can tell you honestly that if any child needs to use a phone, they will always be able to use a phone in the office or my room. The biggest problem is most of them don't know their phone numbers because they've always just, do you know what I mean? And the attention alone is there now. You go in the library and the kids are actually playing games with each other, doing puzzles, playing chess, talking to each other. It's awesome. And it's not our new principal. They keep blaming it on the new principal. I'm like, it's a law. It's a law. No, this new principal,
take the
blah,
heat,
blah,
right?
blah, blah, blah. I go, it's a law. It's a law. So that's my 2 cents. Well done. It's great. Seen one phone. I've only taken away one phone, which, in how many weeks? That's it. 5. Yeah. It's a good practice on patience too, for them to wait until the end of the day or when they can get their hands on their phone. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi there. Non-resident Martha Abney. I teach at the middle school, and I live at 171 Whittier Drive in Fremont, New Hampshire. In case anybody wants to come there. I'm going to reiterate what everyone else before me has said and add that I think it lends itself to some great classroom discussions about responsibility and following the law and civic duty, which is what I teach. So it's a great opportunity for me to expand a little bit on how a responsibility comes with a right, and a right comes with responsibility. And the focus is so much more intent, which I love. They do have conversations now. They're a little bit more, they're in tune with what they do wrong, because if they forget to put the phone in the box, I've had several incidents where they come running back to me and say, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it in. So they're policing themselves, and they're being super responsible, which at 12 is a lot to ask sometimes. So I think, as it is a law, and we talk about that, what is our responsibility with any law, this is a good one, and I think it's really adding to their engagement in class, and limiting that buzzing distraction. So I just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Janine Engdahl, 43 Tanager Way, speaking as a parent, because at GMS we only have stuffed animals locked up in the case. We do. My high schooler absolutely loves it. He finds his peers are just more accessible because people are looking up and can make eye contact, and they are starting to play games in their downtime and chatting during lunch. He never considered himself to be, I might have a different opinion, but he never considered himself to be one that was really tied to the phone a lot, so he was aware of how many people were inaccessible to social interaction, and now they are accessible, and he is loving it. There was a little bit of a glitch on the long weekend when, on the Thursday of the long weekend, he leaves his phone in the car. I do think at the high school, all the money on those lock boxes were probably a waste of money because they don't use it. But who had a crystal ball, right? And so he brought his phone in on Thursday because he forgot to leave it in his car. As soon as he realized he had it on him, he turned it in like he's supposed to do and locked it up. And then, of course, he was not in the habit of going to get it at the end of the day. And so he did not get his phone at the end of the day, and then for the 4-day-long weekend, he was out without a phone, so he had to learn how to drive without a GPS. He didn't have any paper maps, and it was kind of frustrating. And Dan wants me to add that the funny part that his screen is mostly broken because he's responsible for the cost of fixing that, and since now he works, he values his money, he goes into gas money instead. And so when he went to pick up his phone from the office when he returned, they accused him of turning in a burner phone because they said they'd try to find out whose it was. And he was like, no, it's not a burner phone, I'm just broke. So it was a little funny, and learning to do life without a GPS was maybe a good life skill. I have heard of other high schoolers, peers, that had a real hard time with lunch because they had always just been on their phones. They didn't know how to do lunchtime without a phone, and it sounds like they're starting to adjust. So it was a little anxiety-provoking at first, but it sounds like they're adjusting, and it sounds like a good thing. I love hearing from the staff at Open House, many staff that they're seeing kids' eyes. Kids are saying hi when they walk by. That just sounds good for everybody's mental health. It just sounds like a little thing that's a big thing. And at the middle school, my middle schooler, it didn't really change his life too much. He's just, it's kind of, he didn't use his phone before. They weren't allowed to use their phone during the day anyway. But now he's a little annoyed that he has to return to that class before going to catch the bus. But I like what Robin said, that it is like another check-in point at the end of the day for the staff, which sounds like a good idea for a lot of kids. So overall, it seems like it's going really well from a parent perspective.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, actually, can I add one thing? I do have concerns, not because I've heard of this concern, but I have concerns about the staff members at LMS and CHS in an emergency evacuation situation. Are they going to feel bogged down by having to go protect that precious box instead of focusing on the safety protocols that they should be focused on?
All shaking
So-
their heads no, so.
We already done it.
We did it.
We've already done it. It's like,
Okay.
it's just like, it was part of it, and
We got a backpack anyway, once we have
We'll
our
have
other
another.
hand.
I mean, their hands are now all full between a backpack and a case.
Or you find a kid to carry it for.
Yep, yeah,
That takes time.
Oh, no.
Anyway, all right, I'm glad to hear that they're not concerned. If they're not concerned, I'm good.
it wasn't an issue.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, I know I've expressed my opinion pretty openly about how I feel about cell phones in the classroom and cell phones at school. I just want to say how much it's cut down on behaviors in the middle school and how much time kids are spending out of class has cut by a third. You would not believe how much more empty the hallways are because they're not texting each other to come meet in the hallway and meet in the bathroom and go and do things. Additionally, one of the concerns we heard over the summer about how am I going to get a message to my child if there's a problem with the bus or a problem with changing pickup, we implemented some giant pink papers that if a phone call comes into the office to make sure the student gets that message, that's worked seamlessly. Kids are getting the messages they need from their parents during the day so that if they're not getting that instant text that they need, that message is coming to the kid, and especially if it's something concerning, we have the staff there to support the child during that event or issue that's coming forward. So I just wanted to express some of those concerns we heard over the summer. I also heard from parents. I know this is secondhand knowledge, but I want to share a phone call that I received from a parent who was one of those parents who admitted to posting over the summer about how dare they take my child's phone. I can't believe this. I'm more concerned. I have more anxiety as a parent than my child had. And in the conversation I had with this parent who said she was going to email you, but I'm not sure if she did. So she said I could out her if that were the case. I'm not saying the parent's name, but she said, I can't believe that the anxiety that I was sharing was mine, not my child's. He comes home and he's happier. He's happier that he's talking to his friends. He's happier that he doesn't have to have that electronic leash attached to him and worried about the notifications. We've had less commenting on each other. We've had less pictures in the bathroom. We've had less that we've had to deal with in regards to behaviors overall. So we really appreciate it as administration as well as the teachers. And I think it's helping a lot. Thank you.
Someone coming up?
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say before she gets here, we did get 2 email correspondence regarding the topic, so I'm happy to just summarize those now if you want me to.
Sure.
One was from Laura Dion, who works at LMS, and said it was positive change, her feedback as well as a parent. And then Kim Howe also emailed in comparing her experience back to CHS a few years ago and to her current experience at LMS, and said it is working much, much better. So those were the 2 emails we received on the topic since we were talking about it.
Awesome. Hi, Jen Richardson, principal at Campbell. So I think, first of all, the kids have been awesome, so I have to give them kudos. Like, they've all been really great about it. Whether they love it, kind of like it sometimes, don't like it at all, they are really good about it. We don't see their phones, a couple here and there, and then we deal with it, call the parents, but we really just don't see them. They're not around anymore. Like Liz mentioned earlier, we're not seeing kids like this. We're actually like seeing kids People are saying hi more and just even smiling at people they maybe have never talked to. And it's been really good. And I also want to thank my teachers because they are also not on their phones. And I'm not on my phone. I can't tell you the last time I had to like come home and like take a ton of work home with me, because I have been way more productive during the day, walking the hallways on my wheelie desk, just like doing things, responding to people, talking to kids, like getting way more done. And I'm like, great, I don't have homework. This is great. I've talked to some kids. I did some anecdotal feedback in a newsletter earlier on just to get their kind of initial thoughts about it. I did recently send out an anonymous feedback form, and it was interesting. It was pretty split. So, you know, I think maybe it's a little too early to to get the kids to really see some of the benefits that or some of the pieces I was really asking them about. I didn't bother asking like, do you agree or disagree? Because it's a law. Like, it doesn't matter. But hey, have you noticed? Are you participating more in class? How would you rate yourself, like in terms of your participation? They're actually really hard. You guys are hard on yourselves. That I was surprised. But the staff have said the kids are very much much more engaged. So hearing the staff perspective, even if the kids are struggling with it, like they're doing such a great job because it's paying off. And I think I've heard kids say things like, I'm doing so much better in school this year. I don't have any baseline of discipline or what things were like last year to know how much of a difference it's made with like discipline or incidents like that. I haven't heard of a single issue of a post or a picture or a group chat or a snap or this, that, the other thing. We've had to deal with kids who are learning how to actually be like, hey, you upset me, instead of like through a text or like now they kind of have to talk to each other if they're upset during the day, which has been, I think, a good tool for them to learn that I think they are not used to doing because they can usually just snap. I also sent out a parent and family feedback summary, so I'm sure you saw that. And again, I wasn't asking people like, hey, do you like this or not? Or do you agree with the law? Because I didn't want to waste anyone's time. So my feedback was definitely more geared towards changes that you might have noticed that I think if I had implemented this law, I would want to be like, gee, how am I going to know if this is worth it? Like, what kinds of questions would I want to ask if I were the governor, being like, how's this going? Is this working? So it was more around student engagement. And it was a pretty even split, the data I've looked at so far, like literally 50-50 down the middle, with people who are saying, yes, this is helpful, or it's been the same. And the support, though, was pretty overwhelming. And I had 85 people respond, which I thought was a pretty good sample size. But overall, that was the one that I thought was most... that people either strongly agreed or agreed. And it was well over 50% of my responses that it's working and that they support it. It was actually probably closer to 70. My math isn't great right now, sorry. But that's it.
Thanks. Just while you're sitting at the table, and I guess question from my side to everyone in the room, right? One of the conversations that the board was having at one point was, is the procedures that we put in place too restrictive in comparison to what our surrounding towns are doing, in comparison to what Litchfield has implemented?
So what I like, and I know at the middle school, Jen definitely uses those lockers. It's like a, hey, here's my cell phone from my Chromebook kind of thing. I told my staff, I don't want there to be any arguments with kids. Like, this isn't, and even in the technical advisory, it really clearly states that the teachers shouldn't be the police, that there really shouldn't be like combative moments. Like, that also is not good for learning. So when a kid says, oh, it's in my car, even the kids that don't have cars, I told the staff, don't argue with them, because then if they do take it out, right, and they are caught with their phone, then it's kind of a bigger conversation, and also like hey, maybe you need to put it in the case. And I think there are kids who put their phones in the cases, maybe not as many as we initially had or we would like, But I think the kids, I've had kids be like, I have to put my phone in there, or I will use it and I will get in trouble, and I don't want to do that. I just want to focus while I'm there. So some of them are almost like using it as I need to police myself and put my phone in there. I also think it's a constant like reminder to the kids, like, hey, if you can't, maybe show us that you are being good. I certainly can't do a, Logan Airport security check every morning and look through everybody's stuff and be like, oh, you have your phone, it's going here. Oh, I mean, we can't do that. But they know that if they are gonna sneak or use their phone or get caught on it, that we've had kids that, okay, now you're bringing your phone to the office every day and it has to go in the office case with your name right there. So I think even just the visuals of them were almost worth having, because they know, like, okay, like my phone could go in there. And who knows, if it does get more strict, if the governor does a litmus test or whoever's monitoring how this is going and sees too many schools being too open about it, it very well may come to like no, schools, you have to now figure out how to search kids every day, like figure it out. Like they could do that. I've seen it, we've seen it with other stuff, right?
And I just wanted to chime in, because that was kind of one of the perceptions, is that we were going to, pat kids down, turn your pockets out, turn your phones in. We aren't doing that. That's not something that we have to do in the morning. Teachers are not.
They don't, they just give them to us.
They're
happy to put them in.
They just
don't bring them anymore.
Right.
And if they are bringing them, they're not in their pockets. They're not on their person. They have them in their backpack. But it's the effect of the cabinets is helping to make sure that they're not on them in the class. So I can say honestly, I have not had to go, I see a phone in your pocket, take it out, let's go. It hasn't happened this year. We've had a couple of instances where a student had it and was caught with it, comes down, we deal with it very quickly, but there's no checking backpacks and checking pockets and checking things. It's just a natural compliance of doing what they need to do to follow the law.
Great. That's helpful. Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Any other comments?
I do have a question. I warned them ahead of time. I would like to hear some student feedback and perspective on it, not to completely put you on the spot, but and it doesn't have to be your personal, it can be what you're hearing, whatever you're comfortable sharing, but how do you think it's going? Let us know what you think.
Before you guys answer, can we introduce them real quick?
Huh?
Since it's their
Oh, I'm
first
sorry,
meeting, can we
yes,
introduce them?
please.
There's perfect segue into it. It's awesome. So we have two new student school board representatives here joining us tonight. It's their first night. If I mispronounce either of your names, just correct me. But Dominic Bellino and Zoe Bork are our new student school board reps, and they will be here moving forward. Representing the
Welcome.
students.
Nice to have you guys here.
Now, tell us.
Yeah, I definitely noticed students are more engaged in the classroom, walking around the hallways. Everybody's up, everybody's talking. They're in their groups. Yeah, all together, the phones are staying away from what I see, and yeah, everyone's just more engaged. Definitely, the classroom environment's better.
I agree. I think everyone is talking more, and like in the hallways, like you can hear like voices. And kind of everywhere you look, like people are talking. I think the one like difference I have noticed is like not many people in the lunches or in study halls, because I do think a lot of people are just like going home at that point, or like getting notes to go home, just because like students don't have their phones. So I would just say that's like the biggest like difference I've noticed without the phones. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. All right, any other comments, questions, concerns on personal communication devices? Technical name. All right, hearing none, we'll close that section.
I will just jump in real
Oh,
quick
yeah,
at
you
that.
had some comments
Yeah,
too.
I just wanted to, a couple of quick things. With this is something we'll continue to monitor, over the course of the year. Again, we're a month in. Usually people are still on their best behavior a month into the school year, so I think that is helpful to and everyone's been great implementing it, from the students to the staff to the families. We've had great support with that, and and everyone doing their part to make it successful. You definitely notice it in my offices against the library up at Campbell. There's a lot more activity in the library these days than there was before. Hopefully Ms. Green's okay with all that, but there's a lot more good energy, I would say, when you're in the cafeteria during lunch. It's definitely louder, but not bad loud. It's kids actually, engaging with each other and stuff. I want to be transparent, like with the high school, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like the idea is that the phones are away. Like, we're not naive enough to believe that all these kids are leaving their phones in their cars and or at home. But the idea is that they've learned not to take it out in class, and I think that's what's a critical piece of this, and that's what we ultimately wanted from all this. But we'll continue to monitor it, and if there's a need to revisit the policy and/or our procedures, we will do that as we see fit. We have worked it through with some of the safety stuff. We've had drills where the teachers have had to take the cases outside. There doesn't seem to be any issues related to that. Everything seems to be okay. I'm not aware of any phones being damaged at any point through any of this. So those are positive things so far. My last thing is we were selected as one of 3 schools to get a visit from the governor and the commissioner of education to see how we are implementing the cell phone law. So they're coming on Wednesday, November 5th. They'll be visiting Campbell High School as one of the 3 schools they visit to see how the implementation is going. I think it's a good sign we were selected. We'll find out, I guess, that day. So, and I think, I don't know why we were, other than
Then we're the only district that didn't go back on it.
well, I mean, I don't know how much they know that level of detail, but I do think it will be an interesting contrast because the other high school they're visiting is Bedford, and obviously I know a little bit more about what goes on in that school since my wife works there. They don't have as restrictive as a set of procedures as we do. So I think from the governor and commissioner's viewpoint, it'll be an interesting comparison point. Obviously, the schools are different, vastly different in size, and on other factors, but it'll be an interesting contrast to see how they're doing. I will leave this district unnamed. It is not Bedford, but I was at a district for a meeting, and I could see out the window into the passing time area. And if the intent is for the kids not to have their phones during passing time, that was not happening at that school. And I don't mean to be critical of that school, but I think it comes down to what is the intent. Like when we are in our passing time or we're in our lunch areas, the kids are not their phone, and that's what we've been told the purpose of the law is. And that was clearly not occurring at district. I'm not judging them. It's hard to manage. That was the issue. How do you manage this in that downtime, not in the classroom? So we are more restrictive, but I'll be interested to the feedback we get from Concord when they come visit us, the governor and the commissioner. So,
I have one question about the emergency aspect of this because I hadn't contemplated this before. So I hear that they're bringing them outside.
Yep.
But those are drills.
Yep.
So in the event of an actual emergency, are they going to then be dispersing kids' phones at that point? Like that seems like that could be chaotic.
I think it depends on the situation that we're dealing with at that time, right? Like we last year had to evacuate the high school, dismiss everyone, after an evacuation, and that involved, I won't say on the fly because we have emergency stuff in place, but we had to organize quickly, make sure we were checking kids out if we had to bring kids over to their cars or onto a bus or whatever the case may be. Thankfully, the procedures they have at both schools, all 3 schools, but middle school and high school, we're talking primarily for cell phones. They know where they're supposed to do when there's an emergency or situation. They know where to line up. They know where to report to. So you can funnel kids through. You bring out the big horn thing, right, bullhorn thing. You're talking through it, and you're kind of directing kids. So if we had in a situation where, let's just take that one, where we're evacuating the building, and therefore need to return cell phones, we're going to have to get on the horn and say, all right, if you're in so-and-so, Miss McDonald's room, please go see her right now, pick up your phone, and then check out here, so on and so forth.
My only concern with that is if it's like a higher priority situation and then you have kids like, well, wait, I want to get my phone. I think there probably should be just a clean cut, like this is, in the event of an actual emergency, this is the way that it would be handled.
Yeah.
Because I could see there being confusion. Sounds like.
If there ever is a situation, I can speak as a teacher, where I'm choosing between a case and a kid, I'm dropping the case.
That's not at all what I'm talking
No,
about, though.
but I'm saying, like, if there was an emergency,
Right.
my first focus is going to be getting those kids out to where they
Yeah,
can
my
be
concern is
safe.
the kids being outside, being, needing to be ushered away from the location and
Yeah.
being concerned, being drawn back
Concerned
about
getting their
phones.
Yeah.
That's my concern. Not about,
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to think any of you would be like, oh, wait, the phones, I'm going to go into the burning building.
I think you raise a good point. I mean, we have not put that into our emergency planning yet. Maybe that's the next step to do,
Yeah.
is to put something like
We
that
can-
in. So we do have a set of procedures that make sense for most situations. Obviously, there'll be exceptions for everything, but I think it's a good suggestion, so. But otherwise, that's all I got.
All good? All right, perfect. All right, last call. Any other comments, questions, cell phone policy?
I think it went well, right? I think the teachers, I work at Campbell, Karen Hod, and I think it's great. There's no question about it. The kids really respect it. There's no problems, and I think it makes 100% difference.
That's great. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
And now I can rest easy knowing that we've collaborated with parents and teachers.
All right, so we're gonna move on with our agenda tonight. Next up, student rep report or?
We don't have the actual report yet. They're revamping it. I think you have the link to their revamp report. It's just not, they're in the process of doing it. So they're here tonight. And then next meeting, they'll have the report ready to go as part of their presentation.
Excellent. Look forward to that. All right, next up is community comment on agenda items. This is the first of 2 community comments tonight. Hearing none, we'll close that. We'll move over to correspondence.
Yes, on September 18th, the superintendent emailed the board circulating the policy work folder so that the board could see the work that's being done in policy committee. On September 21st, Jan Sullivan emailed the board circulating draft public and non-public minutes from the September 17th meeting. On September 22nd, the superintendent emailed the board circulating an invitation to CHS to participate in the, quote, cell phone tour from the governor's office along with Bedford High School and McCarthy Middle School in Nashua. On September 24th, Ann Inamorati circulated the payroll EFT manifest, which included the 403B and retirement accounts. On September 24th, the superintendent emailed the board circulating correspondence from School Care regarding a pattern of increased claims and a lack of reserve funds requiring its members to pay an additional fee. And I know there'll be more discussion on that, but just that's the quick summary. On September 26th, Ann Inamorati emailed the board circulating 2 account payable manifests, which were live checks and EFT. On September 27th, Renee Burgess emailed the board circulating the draft October 1st school board agenda. On September 29th, the superintendent emailed the board advising us that a grad student would be attending the board meeting. Hi. And for a school assignment. On September 30th, Ann Inamorati emailed the board circulating an additional manifest for more pressing invoices that included Eversource, the municipal lease, and copier. On September 30th, as I mentioned before, Laura Dion emailed the board providing positive feedback regarding the cell phone policy, and on October 1st, Kim Howe emailed the board also providing positive feedback regarding the cell phone policy. And that brings us up to date as of 6 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next up, superintendent report, and we have our official enrollment as of today.
Yeah, so this is the official state enrollment that we submit to the state for our enrollment. We use it for any reasons the state needs our enrollment to do it. When they do adequacy aid, just the numbers we use for NHIA, for sports, for anything else. So these are official October 1st dates. It's nice we have a meeting on October 1st, so it aligns to reporting it out to you guys.
So just for public
Yep.
awareness.
GMS is at 405 students is their official count. LMS is at 349 students, and CHS is at 341 students. It gives us a district total of 1,095 students.
Fantastic. Questions from any board member?
No.
All right, pretty consistent with where we started. All right. School Care.
All right, let's go. Hopefully by now you have seen, I'm also saying this for whoever may be watching on YouTube or stuff like that, but there's been articles, WMER ran something this weekend, Union Leader ran their article today, the Monitor ran theirs earlier this week, I'm sure other papers have too. So we're in a little bit of an issue with School Care. So School Care is the group that helps us provide our health insurance. So to summarize real quick, they're not necessarily our health insurance provider. They are the group, we group together a lot of districts in school care specifically. There's about 90 school districts that are part of this, some municipalities across the state and stuff like that. We come together as a group to get a better price on health insurance. And School Care is the organizing group for that. They're a nonprofit who organizes that. If we were to be our own entity and go get insurance, we would be at the mercy of our smaller pool. It could be extremely high, it could be extremely low. This is a more stable way, in theory, to get health insurance. So, there's about 4 in the state that do this. There's 2 big ones. It's Health Trust and School Care. And, if you follow along over the summer, Health Trust was in a tough spot. I don't know Health Trust's stuff inside and out because we're not part of them, but there's legislation around them, so on and so forth. But we're talking about School Care. So last Tuesday afternoon, evening, late in the day, we and any other school district or municipal that works with School Care got a correspondence from them stating, and I'm paraphrasing, please read the articles for more detail than this, but just for paraphrasing, they're essentially short funds based upon projections, based upon last year's actuals of claims and then the money associated with those claims, and then this year's projections when it comes to claims and the actual cost of those claims to cover them. They have emptied their reserves and expect to be in a deficit, which means they wouldn't be able to cover anyone's insurance, essentially. It's more bigger than that, but just for simplicity's sake, they need money. So their solution was that they are asking participating entities such as us, the school district, to essentially pay an additional month and a half of their premium coverage.
They're not asking, they're
They're telling us,
demanding.
you're correct. They are telling us that we have to pay an additional month and a half, and we gotta do it by December 31st. So we officially got the bill today, this morning, that's what I walked into, is the bill. And our total is $432,374.10. So we need to pay that bill by December 31st, or come up with a payment plan for this.
Or
Obviously-
accrue interest, starting
Or-
in
or-
January,
yeah,
and
incur interest.
then we lose insurance, beginning July 1st.
Yeah, or possibly even May if everyone flakes out, but, that's worst case scenario. Obviously, the problem here is this is unexpected. No one had this coming. We, for the record, had our insurance rates went up double digits last year, so it's not like we were light. We had, I think the second highest insurance rate total of the last 5 years for this particular district, double digit percentage, anywhere between 12.4, 14.2%, depending on your specific plan. And, we thought this was a stable organization. So the problem is we gotta come up with it now and we don't have a budget. So, that presents a problem. So obviously, we reached out to our legal right away, like everyone else. We met, School Care people hosted a town hall, I think is what they called it, informational meeting.
It was ridiculous.
On
So, you
Thursday
had bulletproof
afternoon.
class, or-
I joined in.
Yeah. It was, they did what they gotta do, they're informing people of the issue, they took some questions, did their best to answer some of it, but, it didn't necessarily help anything. DOE is aware of it now, they weren't, that was a question we asked Thursday, have you told the DOE, and the answer at the time is no. So the DOE is aware, we met with them yesterday, they had a call yesterday that we talked to them about trying to, you have to do this, or risk losing your insurance, you really don't have any other options, and our attorneys are like, you gotta do this, there's really nothing you can do about it, you can try to not do it and go through that whole thing, but you risk losing your insurance coverage for your people, so we gotta figure this out. So I'll stop there, because we'll talk about how to pay the bill in a second.
Oh, well, I have a multitude of questions.
Go for it.
I had asked Heidi this question, but can we get quotes from actual insurance? So I was not aware that School Care is essentially just like a pool of people that are self-insuring.
Yeah.
Which is concerning, obviously. Can we go get quotes?
We can, and we are.
Okay.
Now, we also are reaching out to the other pools, so Health Trust, but we don't think that's gonna be a viable option,
Sure.
right? This is, good or bad, we're negotiating currently. So if we were gonna go in a different direction from an insurance standpoint, that's something we need to go through collective bargaining to do, right? So that has to be something that our unions are receptive to, both of them. We're negotiating with the LEA right now, but the LSSA still has a contract existing with this as their health insurance, right? So that would be part of the calculus there. And we could go, but we're going directly to the provider, and I don't know how that would go, right? It could be great, it could not be great. We're working to get in quotes, and I don't anticipate it being cheaper, because if it was, people would be doing it, right, in our world, in the education world. But maybe no one's ever really tried it, so maybe this is the time to try it. I mean, I have bigger concerns about this whole model in general, if we're here right now. Like, one of the questions we did ask Thursday that did get answered was, well, what do you expect the rates to be, next year? 18% was the floor, it sounded like, so it's not gonna be the floor, so let's go in the 20s is gonna be our rate next year, which is not good from a financial standpoint. So we're trying and looking at all of those options for the future.
So I guess, what did our legal counsel say in terms of like, do these folks have, what are they, like, what is their purpose? Like, what do they do? If their whole role is to manage this and make this work, and they're inept at that, then like what?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my area of expertise. So I'll parrot some of the things they told me. And I don't have
because I didn't hear it.
And I don't have the expertise to know otherwise, even though I seem to be learning a lot about health insurance in the last week. So the idea is that if you have more people who are part of the pool, there's less variables, right? So if you have a small pool, we have a staff of that probably take insurance of about 100 people in our district who take insurance from us in the district. That 100 people could have a wide range of health insurance needs and coverages as part of that, right? Like them and their collective families who we're covering from. And if that small population is costing a lot of money, we're gonna have a higher insurance rate, right? The idea of pooling all together is you just have more people in the pool, so you'll have more possibilities of people who won't require as much health insurance, and it kind of levels, I guess, the rate for everybody who wants to join in on that pool. So instead of us having 100 people we're trying to insure by this private entity, a health insurance company, the pool with about 90, let's say 100 people per 90 school districts, that's now like 9,000 people, right? That's a bigger, like, pool of people to just look at the different swings of health insurance. So it's supposed to, in theory, make it a more stable environment for everybody because you're coming together. It's different, but similar when we do bonds, right? We'll talk about bonds a lot in the months ahead, but you go to bond and you try to jump in with other people who are doing, or you could jump in with other people who are doing big projects, so you get a better rate on your bond because more people are committed to taking money out and paying back at the same time. That's a different argument, but same type of idea.
I guess what I was not understanding about school care was that I was under the impression that it was a group buying discount, but we were buying from like an actual insurer. Like, I'm part of a fuel buying club for propane, right? I'm not like out back with all of them pumping petroleum out of the ground, like self-insuring. Like, they just go to.
So they just, so school care goes to. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have you come up. They go to Sigma, the actual health insurance provider, and negotiate our fee for them, right? Like, and bring our pool to them, and get this price for our pool, which includes all these districts and municipalities and everything else that are a part of it. So, I mean, they're kind of like a middleman. Like, as someone who's taking care of this for you, you're outsourcing it to them to do this negotiation and getting the best rate for everyone in their pool that they can.
But there's a component of that, though, clearly, that.
Am I doing good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're not, there's a component of that, though, where we're self-insuring, obviously. So, as a group, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
We're not self-insured. If you're self-insured, like the city of Nashua is self-insured. Self-insuring means like we are taking on the cost of those claims. Say someone has $1 million hospital bill. We, the Litchfield School District, are paying that bill.
Right. But
Where
someone's administering it for you, because you're basically setting, just like an insurance company would set, hey, your deductible is this, or your, whatever, right?
Right. When you're self-funded, you're collecting the premiums, you're paying the bills. School care essentially they're controlling that risk pool. So they have all the people from 20 districts. So your group is thousands and thousands of people to hope to get you better rates. They're collecting the insurance premiums for us, but they're also paying those bills.
But that's what I'm not understanding. Like, the bill should be the bill then, right? Like, if you're dealing with the insurance company, should the bill be the bill? Unless we are basically coming together instead of just being Nashua who's self-funding, where Litchfield and whoever the heck else is part of school care are all coming together, putting their money in self-funding. Like, that's what it's seeming like to me. If I'm mistaken, then I guess I need to like understand, but I'm not, and I have a feeling that when taxpayers catch wind of this, they're gonna also have the same question, which is who's responsible for like knowing, because here's the thing, we're not budgeting reserves for this.
No one.
Well, I have a question about that, but we can talk about that in a minute, for reserves. So no, we're not
Well,
budgeting
right.
reserves, but we do have an employee benefits reserve.
We can talk, I know
Well,
your
but
question.
if you're talking about like how we're gonna pay it, that's what, but I
Right.
mean, but from a budgeting perspective, right, like I was never in any
Understood.
of our purview.
My
that
issue
this
with
is a-
this whole thing has
Trying
been
to-
the notice.
trying
There's
to-
been a lack
yeah.
of notice.
Trying to answer,
Right.
yeah, trying to answer your question, if we were to, Sigma is our actual insurance company that
Right.
school care goes to, right?
Yes.
If we were to just as our single entity go to Sigma, like we can't self-insure, right? Like there's too
Right,
much risk
right.
for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But if we were to work directly with Sigma, the understanding is our rates would be significant, or would be at the mercy of our people only, right? So it could be higher, it could be lower.
Understood.
And it could be much more drastic swings year to year, depending on the claims and those costs of our claims that our people are doing. So I think the
But you're under a
idea-
contract with them, so they're not, the one thing they're not gonna do is in the middle of the year say, we don't have enough money, can you write us a check for $430,000?
But they could, in theory, you're 100% correct on that. But I think if you're working with them, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, but if you're just working directly with the Sigma, they can jack your rates into like the 30s, 40s
Sure.
without any.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand though is, so Sigma has said, we are going to provide you insurance, and this is what it looks like, right? And so it's not Sigma that's saying, oh, we're underfunded, you need to write us more money. It's school care. So I'm just trying to understand what are we paying them? Like, what's underfunded, and why are we paying that?
Their reserves.
Their reserves to pay out money. They don't have.
So there's a there is a self-funded component of this then, right?
They're self-funded.
self-funded,
component,
yeah.
Right. So
But
they
we as members are
paying
part of
into
the
that.
self-funding.
Right. So
there is a
we pay them the money, right? And as they said every time, they've done this since 95, 85, and they've never had this issue before. They said it multiple times. But sometimes we get money back, right? So there are rules to what they can be holding on to. So if there's a great year where everyone in their giant pool, right, does not spend as much money as it, then they'll return the money to us. And we have seen this in previous
every
years. And depending on where it is, you can apply it right to your rates for the future year. We have sent checks back to employee. These are not huge checks, right? They're minuscule in the big scheme of things. But we've sent some of that money back to employees, and this is the give or take. They kind of have a cap of what they can have at any moment. If they go over the cap, they return the money, and if they go way under what their need to have, you got to come up with the money as the group. But this is supposed to be kind of like a low risk. Who was I talking to? It's like, I have a 403B, right? Like that's money I've put at risk into the stock market, into the investments and stuff like that. And mine's super conservative in the idea that it will just slowly kind of go. But there is a risk I could lose that money at any time, right? Like, that's not how it's set up to be handled. It's supposed to be a small incremental thing. These insurance, in theory, these pools have a history of being secure and just smaller incremental rate increases year to year. But this is a reality that it could bottom out at any time, and we're experiencing the bottom out right now. So I think there's been more volatility in the rates probably in the past few years. I was in Health Trust in my previous district, so we were following them more closely, and there was a ton of volatility to their rates. But you can see some of it in the historical data here with school care. It's not as volatile, but not exactly a smooth line of increases year to year. So that's kind of all of that.
The frustration I have, and again, I know it's nothing we can do about it here, we need to talk about how do we fix this problem that we're facing, but the notice that I read indicated that they used up their reserve funds last year. And so why wasn't the notice given to us
When we
that
were
their
budgeting?
reserves are low, or why weren't our rates much higher last year when we were doing budgeting in November, December? Because this is real. I don't know how districts suddenly come up with this large amount of money when you have a set budget And there are districts bigger than ours that are having even more money to come up with. And so,
It gets right to my questions I was asking last week.
And we don't have answers to them. We asked the same questions. Why are you telling us now was the first thing. When
Didn't
we
they say
first
that-
saw it, we got it last Tuesday, my initial reaction was like, oh man, what did I miss? I'm gonna
Same.
get fired. So, like, that was my initial reaction, and I picked up the phone and I called school care to be like, what did I miss? Like, how are you dropping this to us now? And they're like, well, we just found out about it in the last 30 days, was
We
essentially
have that
their
in
answer.
writing if you want to.
Yeah, we have it in writing.
It's our job.
No, but and I think if you see everything since then is like everyone is asking that question. How are you just telling us now? I mean, it's a frustration. Their primary people they work with are school districts. They understand our budgeting cycle, right? Like they maybe they don't because we're here right now. But like they should have an understanding of our budget cycle that even if you had told us this in like June, right, we could have done something, right? So like telling us in September when us and other districts are in default budgets, like it's not like we're sitting on this pile of money that like we can just disperse out is a significant challenge. Now I guess, fortunately, I guess it's relative to your district. Ours is less than $500,000, and there are definitely districts in the millions,
Congress, $2 million,
right? You know, and that's unfortunate for those districts. So maybe we can figure this out. I mean, we have to figure it out. We don't really have a choice. But yeah, that's the number one question: is how did you not tell us this was coming? Like, it doesn't make sense.
or even that you were using reserves, like, shouldn't there be some trigger that if, you know, when we want to access reserve funds, we have to let members know, i.e. the town, why wouldn't they have to let their members know that they were accessing such significant reserve funds that they could not cover a situation that continued to happen into the
I mean,
next
this
year?
this can't happen again, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is the frustration, is like, they have to, we gotta deal with this situation.
Yeah.
But, and like, let's hope it never happens again. But the reality is that like, they have to learn from this themselves, that they cannot put us in this hole again, right? Like if,
A
and
good
this,
way to learn that is to have everyone leave.
but where are we gonna go?
Honestly,
Can I
like,
ask my questions now? That's your
Yes.
last
Fire
week.
them
Yeah,
shut-
yeah.
like,
Right, so I want to know who's accountable, right? This
Yeah.
is all about forecasting,
Mm-hmm.
poor forecasting.
Yep.
Who's accountable for it, right? What changes are they making internally? I'm not agreeing to anybody being paid until I know what they're doing internally to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that we need to be going hard right now on other insurance options, because to me, number one, we must have an agreement with them, right? Like, I would imagine it's fairly lengthy if they're able to pull this garbage. I'd love to know, I still want to understand exactly what are their agreement with Sigma.
No, it's Sigma.
Signa.
Sorry, it was,
All right,
Sigma, sorry.
so I want to know I want to know, because there is very clearly a component of their agreement with Cigna that they're getting a lower rate because they are hedging risk by having their own pool of money that they're using to do that. So there's got to be some like massive deductible aspect of it, or something that they pay that they clearly didn't forecast
They're
well.
millions. They said 4 million in the hole?
Yeah,
Their deficit's 4 million.
Yeah.
Their reserves are empty, which they have had between 12 and 15 million. Yeah.
so I would like to understand,
30 from school.
I think we need to understand what it is, what that is, because clearly we have not been budgeting appropriately if there is a risk level that we were not aware of. And I mean, we've had school care for a long time, right?
Since I started here, yeah. They
So-
had just moved from Health Trust.
And I think every other district is like still equally as shocked by this, but, I mean, I agree, and I think that right now, we have till December, 31st, is that what we said?
Right, so
So.
Before interest, right?
So
If
we
we
need to
pay,
get
we
on
have
with
some
as many health insurers as possible. You know, I'd be interested to know if there's any health insurer that would be willing to take all of us and say, hey, we'll cut you guys a good deal because there's all these districts coming. Guess what? We don't need you to administer it anymore because we're not gonna have this stupid risk tolerance that you guys apparently agreed to.
school care trying to save their butt, and quite frankly, I don't care if school care goes by. You know,
Like what they should.
right, I mean,
They're doing their part, though. They did a moratorium on non-essential travel, so.
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is what we're facing, and legal is telling us we have to pay. Is that?
If we want to keep our insurance through
We
them.
want to keep our insurance. I
Yeah.
mean, they are exploring the legality of this, but by the time that's all sorted out, that could take, litigation related to that could take years, right? Like,
Right.
And the simple argument of that, school care has made, and the lawyers begrudgingly are like, they have a point, is they've shared the excess with us in the past, and this is just the reverse, right? Like, where this is the risk reward of it, when there's been too much in their money, their reserves, they've returned it, and when they're short, it's on us to come up with the total. I mean, the timing is where I continue to get, like, how do you do this to us when we can't fiscally plan for it? Like,
Right.
this isn't $40,000, this is $400,000. It's radically different, right? 40,000 is not easy to come up with, but you can come up with that, right? 432,000 is not something you can easily come up with, right? So we have to, there just has to be an awareness, they really are screwing school districts. There's no other way to put it, And I think it's fair to ask, how do we ensure this doesn't happen again?
Is there a contract we have with school?
Yeah, there has to be.
Where we
Yeah,
can see
find
this
it.
type of language, where we're obligated to pay this in these types of scenarios?
Yeah.
They said it a statute, didn't they?
Right.
I mean, there was legislation,
At the end of the year or the
We
beginning of the
probably
year?
signed it in
I guess it's at the end of the
2014.
year.
When does the
Because I
return
feel
happen?
like if they return at
July.
the end of the year.
Should be.
they didn't return us anything last
No.
year.
That in years
They
past.
return it at the end of the
Oh.
year.
When
end of
they
the year, right?
return,
Not-
yeah, when they return money, it's a credit on the July bill for the previous year. So hearing this now, but there was
I was
no
gonna answer
return.
something, what was just asked?
I was asking the contract with school care.
We'll find it. It's probably
Something else I
dated from
thought I was just gonna say.
2014. That's when I started.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Andrew. I
Oh.
don't think we're not in any rush to part with
I'm not- yeah, no rush to pay
$430,000.
this.
Yeah, so so legal's exploring it all, right? I mean, our attorneys work for multiple school districts and multiple school districts who are affected by this, right? So, we've been in a lot of contact. Gordon, who is our attorney primarily involved in this, was on the call for the DOE yesterday, asking questions on the behalf of all school districts, right? But, because we all are in the same place, right? And trying to figure out what all this means and everything. So, so that's the issue. Do we want to? I know you want to wait.
Well, we might as well start talking preliminarily about,
Yeah.
I mean, December's not, it's right around the corner, so we might as well hear your ideas.
Sure.
We're not having toilet paper in the schools anymore. That's we're starting
I-
there.
So this, all right. I want to be careful. If we go forward with paying, right, like we're in a situation where we have no choice, we got to pay, I would have advised to avoid interest, obviously, like that's not helpful. It really comes down to three options, and within there's three different directions to go. The first is a payment plan. I don't see any advantage to that, right? This is money that we have to come up in massive amounts. We gotta figure out how we're gonna pay it, if we're gonna pay it, right? It can't be like, let's figure out how to pay $50,000 of it now because that's the first month of the payment plan and then go somewhere else. We gotta figure it out, but we could develop a payment plan. No one's really sure how that's gonna play out with school care. Like, again, one of my questions to them is like, why can't our bill be due on July 15th? So we could budget for it this year and then cut the check on July 1st, right? Like, but we can't. Like, if the coverage isn't expiring until July in legitimacy, I don't understand why that's not possible. Apparently it's not. So one option is a payment plan, and we can explore that. The other two options really are this. There is a possibility we could use underspend from the previous year, if you have it. So it's not as simple as just taking the money and doing it. One, we have to clear it with our auditors. We have reached out to our auditors. They're open to discussing it. They haven't given us a hard yes, they haven't given us a hard no. But our auditors, again, there's only so many auditing firms in the state, so everyone's asking their auditors the same question for the same situation. And our auditors are open to that being a solution, not just for us, but for any district in that situation. The other option is, now there's issues with that. We've said this is what we're returning to the state. We have submitted all of our DOE 25, all of our reporting information already. Our audit is wrapping up as we speak, so that's gonna slow that whole process down, and it's gonna make us reopen our books last year and go through different things. It's not the end of the world, but just like, instead of us being done with the last fiscal year, we're going back to it. The state has said that if the auditors are comfortable with whatever you do related to that, they will be comfortable with whatever is related to that. And then the third option is we figure out in our current budget how to do this. And if we were to legitimately do it in our current budget, the first thing that has to happen is we have to freeze all hiring. It's the number one thing. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. The way you accomplish that is in salary and benefits. We have open positions. And we use, for example, there's a case manager position open at the high school right now, right? We haven't been able to fill it up to this point of the school year. We would be committing to not filling that position for this year. We'd stop advertising for it, stop everything related to it, and there's roughly $100,000 right there. There's other positions, paraprofessional positions, other ways we could look at where we're kind of in a bind because from an IEP standpoint, we should be providing this service, but we can't hire anyone for it because no one's applying for it. Where if we just freeze it all, we can generate some money to offset this cost. We cannot cover the entire $432,000, but we could, depending on how you piece that together and which specific positions you freeze, get a good chunk of it, 300 and excuse me.
My problem with that is
368-ish.
that's a lawsuit waiting to happen because we're essentially saying, well, we
Well,
can't really
here-
hire for these positions.
Well, here's
so
the next
therefore we're
domino
going
off of it, right? Heidi mentioned reserve fund, right? Our reserve fund connected to benefits is specifically tied to retirement benefits, right? So like the money we have taken out, we have about $190,000 in that reserve fund. The language for that reserve fund is that it's specifically tied to the benefits of those who are going to retire. We have the money sitting in there is tied to individuals, and if they were to retire at the end of the year, and first we can't anyways, but even if for some miracle we could access that fund to take care of this issue, we'd just be screwing ourselves when these people retire. So that's not really a viable
It's definitely
option.
robbing Peter to pay Paul kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it doesn't.
But I guess the language that we have in the Excel spreadsheet to me doesn't make it clear that it's for retirees. For the purpose of funding the payment of negotiated employee benefits, including but not limited to health insurance reimbursements, changes in coverage and policies chosen by employees, severance benefits, and such other benefits as are from time to time negotiated and become contractual obligations of the district. That
Yes, when you put it
general
that way.
language
Yeah.
makes me think that it's possible. I don't know that I agree that it's a good idea to do, but I mean,
I think it's a better idea than cutting, positions.
well, it
that could
allows
be-
us to budget somewhat,
Right.
because if we have to go through the whole public hearing, we take the money out of it, we can then budget to, or have a warrant article in March to replace that money, right? In March, we would have to, but then that way it's money that's coming out that's not necessarily being
Right.
taken from this year's budget. Again, not advocating,
Well, I'm gonna go around similar, using a different trust fund here, but a similar idea. So,
Different trust fund.
different trust fund.
yeah, which one?
Hear me out.
Let's hear this one.
Look, we're uncovering every rock here, so. If we elect to freeze positions, and if we focus on special education positions, because we have a teacher open there, and paraprofessionals is the spot where we have the most open positions, and we freeze those, and we take that money to pay for this, we are sitting on a reserve fund for special education. And there's a chance that if and when we could fill those jobs, we could access that money out of that reserve fund to pay for those jobs.
Yeah, but I mean, that
I'm not a fan of
reserve,
that.
reserve fund is there for if one student comes into the
It
district.
is.
and
Look,
needs-
none of these are good options. I'm just telling you.
I mean,
right?
here's my concern, right? We have a legal obligation to deliver services. I think if we are, I don't know that it's been tested, but I would imagine that if you are sued for not delivering services, if you literally cannot find a single person to provide those, that, I don't even know if that's a viable defense to that, but what I would think would not be a viable defense was we couldn't find someone and we reallocated the funds. Like, that
Yeah.
seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen. I don't see that being a good.
But, I
You
mean,
know,
there's
it
that.
could be worse. I just Googled, poor Claremont, who's $5 million in the hole. Theirs is $870,000. I don't
I mean, and then,
They
you
will
know,
be.
I do think you gotta go by about not hiring people, right? Like, you start picking off the jobs that you can do that to, right? One of the things we could look at is reorganizing facilities, right? Like, we have contracted services that we're utilizing right now for some custodial services. Trying to, make lemonade out of lemons here, right? Like, do we really, we sat down today and we really started looking at that. We have open positions in custodial. We have money aside for contracted services. Is there some combination of stuff there? We were working on something that produces some money there. I don't think we're ready to reveal it to the world because we want to, double check everything before we're saying we can commit
That
this money.
contracted services, that's intentional, right?
I know, but like, if you just lock into that and we eliminate custodial positions, there might be a savings there. It's not gonna cover all of this, but like, it
What-
starts covering some of it.
What have we
But we
pulled-
lose the advantages of our people, and we're gonna lose services related to custodial services. Our contracted people do a nice job with what they're supposed to do, which
Well,
is.
and we also just dug ourselves out of the hole of having a real hard time hiring people because they were like ready to
Right.
jump off a cliff trying to keep
That's
up
what I
with it,
mean,
so-
like, if you go down that road, we're totally changing the way.
What have we pulled, where does the money from the trust fund for employee benefits, what is it typically pulled for, and how much are we typically pulling annually?
So that's a relatively new fund. It was just created in 2023, so it's only 2 years old. It has, the balance is 190,000 as of August.
Have we pulled anything from it in the past?
You do when people retire.
Right, so it's specifically
for
associated
retirement.
with retirement, and so when we have people that have
Put
planned
in.
retirements, we put in the money at the end of the year, we typically encumber it, right?
Yeah.
And then put it into this account, so when they do retire, we already have that money set
Yeah.
aside, without having to budget it year over year over year in case they do not retire.
But it's paying out like what, unpaid, unused sick
The
time?
severance, yeah.
Anything connected to it, right? Could be severance, it could be, some sort of unused sick time, it could be whatever is in their retirement package that we can budget for in advance. That's what's in there. For some people, it's like $2,000, for some people, it's significantly more. I think it's all depend on.
So we created, we created that to stop the ebbs and flows, right?
Right, and to stop having to budget for it every year in the event that somebody is planned retiring and then does not retire.
Right.
Can you remind me how much we are, with year-end funds from last year, we were going to return, that is gonna be returned to taxpayers
Yeah, it's-
unless something happens?
It's over $1 million, so.
But we had
It's like
already,
1.4.
but we've already talked about encumbering some of that.
We did all that, like, even after all of that.
There was still,
But after the reserve accounts, the real number was approximately 800,000.
But, so
Right.
there's money
We
there.
can cover it with that, yes. Yep.
So if you go through an audit says, okay, and everyone, you laid the if foundation, there's a lot of things that would need to line up and happen.
Yep.
But if it is determined that using year-end funds is a way that could pay this, yes, it would be a lot of work on having all of our documents done already with the audit and whatnot. I guess what's the downside? Because taxpayers are gonna pay for this either way?
In theory, unless we can scrounge it together, and the only way they're not really paying for it, they're gonna pay for it long-term, is if we scrounge around for it right now, right? So if we use this trust,
Right, but
we-
on a default budget, like how do we scrounge on a default budget?
if we use our reserve fund for this, right, like 190 for that, and say you scrounge for the remaining 240 of that, right?
Yeah.
You have to, this money is designated for something, right? Not this, but this
No,
money
I
is designated
I
for
understand,
something.
we're gonna have to replace
So
it.
we need to, at a minimum, put that in,
Either way.
to budget. I don't think we
Yeah.
can chance that as
So-
a warrant article. Like, you gotta put that in the budget next year, so you are gonna pay for it, right? Like, now, taking it out of the reserves, the thing is you're gonna lower what we're returning, which will increase the hypothetical tax rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what it is. There's not a public tax rate yet. One of the reasons is because this is here right now.
Right.
And everyone's kind of sitting, figure out.
Try and figure it out.
Figure this out, right? Like, this is gonna delay tax rates across the state, right? Because
Sure.
people need an answer to this. This is
Yeah.
not small pennies, right? So if we were to go down the road of using our underspend last year to do this, like, we need to redo everything, which is gonna delay the tax rate.
Understood.
But like, everyone is aware of that, so that everyone's holding off for this exact moment, right? Like, now this is one expense, so the redoing of all the paperwork, not to put too much pressure on Julie right here. It's one expense that you're changing everything for, like, there's multiple formulas connected to it and transferring in and out, but
Yep.
it's not like it's 100 expenses that you now have to redo.
It's a lot, either way, it's a lot of work, but again, to me, I guess, if it turns out that it is an option, after all of those hoops have gone through, to me, that seems, to me, early on, that seems like the best option.
At what point do we have to definitively decide that to get to have the tax rate set in time?
Well,
The
this
sooner
is
you
all
can
gonna be
decide
after-
that,
yeah.
the sooner that decision is made, then everything else follows.
It's out of our hands at this point, whether this is even allowed.
Like,
So-
if-
No, I get that, but I mean, my, I guess the basis of my question is, you know, how long do we, that's a process. How long
So if,
do we really have no other option than to just, we have to go down that process because of time?
so, well, you always have options, right? Like, if this hadn't occurred, right, we've submitted our DOE 25, our tax rate would be computing right now as we speak, right? Like, that's what would be happening at the
Because
state
tax
level.
bills come out
Because
December
tax
1st.
bills come out December 1st, right? And, like, pick on ourselves, we were new last year, right? So we were slow with the DOE 25. Remember, it was like mid-November when we got that out.
Yep.
So our tax rate in Litchfield came out later.
Yeah.
Right? We were on time this year. Good, right? Like, got everything in ready, so our tax rate would be ready at before December 1st. So all that stuff would be going out at that point. But now we might be delaying when that goes in because of everything that has to happen. Now, if we were to do that, the board needs to vote and approve that, right? I don't think you're gonna vote and approve to do that tonight. I would advise you to think about this and allow us to do some other things as well. But I think we would need to be prepared at the next board meet, to have that vote, whether that was the final decision or not. But if we were gonna take it out of underspend, we would probably wanna do that vote at the next board meeting, so then we can do it, take it out of underspend, submit all the records with it, do it through the auditors, do it through the state.
Yep.
And the tax rate can still come up in a reasonable time for everyone to collect taxes.
How can
and
we
stuff.
do that vote if we don't have an answer from the,
Well, we're hoping we get the answer, right? I mean,
so
that's
you're hoping over the next couple of weeks we'll have kind of a definitive yes or no on that?
that's my hope. Yeah, I was hoping to have it tonight. I don't.
Okay.
But that's what, my last correspondence with Gordon is that it's fast flowing and like they're moving this as quickly as they can, but they don't have
Again, it
every
helps
answer.
that we're not the only district dealing with
Yeah, I
this.
just looked, there's like
So
65 districts,
yeah,
so I
so
think
I
they're
mean,
gonna-
there are-
the state's gonna have to.
what they decide is gonna have to be able to work for other districts as
Right.
well.
I mean, in the union I think it was Union Leader today, I don't think it was the Monitor. They quoted Scanlon, the Secretary of State, who said that school care is handling this correctly. So that doesn't bode well that there's some illegality to what they're doing. If that makes sense, right? Because he was very critical of how the Coast was handling all of their stuff, right? So the fact that he has, I don't know him, I don't know any of this, but like just reading that article, he said that school care was doing the best they could with the situation, which doesn't make me optimistic that our lawyers are gonna find some magic answer to this that gets us out.
I
of
don't
this.
know that we're gonna find a magic answer, but I think the bigger problem that we have right now is that we owe it to the taxpayers to figure out a better solution than this.
Now, what we could do, informing you of all this, told you some, obviously behind the scenes, we've worked on various scenarios. We have not presented those specific scenarios to you tonight because they're not ready, right? We need to have this general discussion first and get kind of your feel on everything like that. I would advise that at our next meeting 2 weeks from now, we present you options, right? Like this, if we were to go through a freeze of hiring, et cetera, like we can freeze other things as well, but again, we're talking large quantities of money. It's salary and benefits, that's how you accomplish that. This is what that would look like, right, if we did it out of our budget. This is that scenario, or different options if you did it out of our budget. This is what the definite answer, could we use that reserve fund tied to benefits, right? Heidi, I thought that we wouldn't be able to, but when you read it aloud like that and I was processing it in real time, I was like, maybe there is an avenue there. Like if, you know, this is kind of an unprecedented situation, maybe that can be a viable option for us, right? That changes the calculus on the money. Can we do a little bit of all of it, right? Like if we could take some of that reserve fund, take some of the underspend last year, maybe take a little bit out of our budget this year. So it feels like we're trying our best to not hit everything, you know, or hit one particular thing. Maybe it's a combination of all those factors together that kind of cover the cost of it. But I think telling you about the situation now, I hadn't mentioned this yet, but Andrew, you asked me to reach out to see if they'd be willing to talk to the board. They're, as you can imagine, talking to everybody, so they could do like a 30-minute Zoom if you wanted, you know. You just let them know the date and time and that stuff like that if you're interested in talking to them directly and asking some of these pointed questions to them specifically. So we could set that up in the next 2 weeks too to help you kind of process it all and stuff like that. But I think our next step is continue to seek the legal answers that we're going for and come up with the options of how we could legitimately pay for this if that's where we end up with all of this and legal says we have to. So
And explore every other potential insurance option.
yeah, I mean that's obviously ongoing right now. So I mean I think the timing of this is horrible. The timing to totally revamp our insurance, I mean we're gonna finish a budget in less than a month now. You know, like it's gonna be hard to get a then
So
health insurance, I mean,
you know, we obviously have the stress of if we're going to do underspend, we have tight timelines on that. If that wasn't the case, in terms of this December 31st deadline, I'm guessing that because they don't have reserves, there's going to be claims that need to be paid out, which is why they probably have to, why they're setting this deadline.
Yeah.
But I would venture to guess that this would be a stupid thing to venture to guess since they clearly don't buffer for things, but they may have buffered some time on that. And I wonder if the, you know, districts, the 65 districts that are being asked for money, band together and say, you need to do better on this deadline. We're all just gonna figure something else out. Then maybe we can at least buy a little more time.
yeah. I mean, the good and bad of, well, there's no good. It's no good. September is the worst time to hear this because we have no idea of the rest of the year yet, right? Like as you approach the end of the year, you get an idea of your underspend, right? Like, and you can be a little bit more flexible in knowing where money is. Like we're going to finish off with money. We're just starting the school year. There's so much unknown of like, there's not because we budget and we project and we do all these things, but like, you know, if we go the whole year without the special educator at the high school, it's easy then to use that money in June, right? But like, we need that person, you know, like, so.
Well, let's figure out options, right?
I think
and
the
come
plan
back.
is good, yeah.
So I just my final thought on this, and then we'll move on for tonight, right, is it really is unfortunate for Litchfield in particular this year. Yes, for all the reasons mentioned, but also because it was an assessment year this year, right? And that money, that $800,000 or so that we returned, was going to at least help offset some of that tax rate, right? And if the idea here is potentially that we can pull back some of that money to offset this bill, then it's just less that's going against the tax rate. So either way, it's hurting taxpayers, right? Either way. So we'll figure this out in the next couple of weeks, it sounds like, or certainly in the next several weeks.
Yeah. More to come, as some say.
I'm not saying that. All right, well, thank you for the update, and yeah, I'd be very interested in meeting with them.
Yeah, I can set it up. We can arrange times through.
Yeah, I'll join you.
Yeah. I'm gonna shift to happier stuff now. I need to just do happy after this. So, well, happy and then maybe some not as happy. All right, robotics grants. You see 2 robotics grants. We got secured one for GMS, one for CHS so far. Keep working on some others and LMS here. Hopefully that will come too. But we asked the board to accept these grants so we can take the funds and then spend them on robotics. We need every dollar we can get for everything right now. So
I'll make a motion to accept the grants.
Okay, so we have a grant for Griffin Memorial in the amount of $6,710 and a grant for Campbell High School in the amount of $7,500. We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Ames. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, that carries 3-0. These are fantastic, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for those who worked on it too at GMS and CH. It was great. Next thing, CIP. We talked about this last meeting. We have our CIP meeting in 2 Mondays from now, where we're coming back with updating CIP plan from the school district standpoint. So this is, we have forms too, but this is the summary on a spreadsheet here. Again, using Onsite Insight as kind of the guidance. They were asking us to condense that down through 2031, so we did that for them. The estimated costs here are based upon the Onsite Insight values. One of the things they asked us to do is to identify some of those things that impact fees could be associated with. So when we asked to request those impact fees, we're tying it to something on their CIP plan. So we identified some of the exterior work at CHS. We can be a little flexible in the years. We put fiscal year 27 for now to give us a little time to figure that out till next year. That would be something that would be good for the impact fees at the high school, is to take care of some of that exterior work and wear and tear of the building. And then we've left the LMS in 28, but again, we can move that a little bit. We just need to get it on this list. We just left it for purposes here in 28 while we work on that, and that could be something we could use impact fees to kind of cover as well. The other big thing that we have talked about last year, this year, and everything is the roof, etc. project at Campbell 5 years from now, when the roof's hitting 30 years old, down in 2031. That package stuff is about $2 million. We're projecting out to be about $2 million, so we're getting that on the CIP as well. We're going to remove the field and the lights, the turf field and the lights off of the CIP. I hope people are okay with that. I think these are bigger priorities for the district. Obviously keeping a GMS-related project on the CIP, and then we'll talk about solar in a few moments, but general improvements, roughly we budget about 125 when you go through it all together, and that aligns with the Onsite Insight report. And then solar, and we'll talk more in detail about that in a few moments.
Since it just came up on here, in terms of information regarding the LMS parking lot, where are we at with that process in terms, like, I know we
requested a quote from Continental, and we just backed off because we weren't going to do it with end of the year funds last year. So we haven't sat back down with them to get the official quote and stuff like that.
But do we know, are we going to need like engineering and stuff like that ahead
That's
of time?
what we're waiting to hear back from
Okay.
them. They've come and they've done an assessment of it and stuff like that. They'll give us their recommendation for it and stuff like that.
I should know if we had
We are
gotten
going to
anything.
circle back to it. We have not forgotten about it, but we just have not yet.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm assuming we're now moving into the thing they said maybe not so fun.
Yes, solar.
Great.
For transparency's sake, I'll give you an update right now, and then I'm going to talk about legal stuff in non-public with you around solar, because we met yesterday with Kay from Dynamic Grid. We had our legal counsel with us to talk about the lack of progress on the solar project. I'll be frank, I did not appreciate the answers I was getting in return with delays connected to all of this and stuff like that. So we talked with our legal counsel about some action steps we can take in regards to that program. So we've outlined some must-haves we need out of Dynamic Grid. The first is to meet with our fire department next week to go over the plans, the updated plans for the storage system, to make sure that they're comfortable with it, because there has been changes from what the original plan was for that. The contract does allow that, but at the same time, we're not going to do something that's unsafe into our middle school. So we told them it had to be done by the end of next week, and at least that meeting is being set up. The response was sent to our fire department. We have emergency management. We'll go over that stuff with them tomorrow morning, and that's the first step to that. We have asked, once that meeting has concluded, so let's just say for argument's sake next Friday, within 2 weeks we have a drop-dead deadline on when the storage is coming. And then if that drop deadline is not met, we've outlined the legal actions we will be pursuing as part of that to remedy this situation.
That was outlined to Kay with our legal counsel there?
Yes. So We
Storage
Kate-
is coming,
Kate doesn't seem to be
i.e., like delivered, installed?
and installed. Yeah, we want the exact date and no more of it. So I will talk to the board in non-public, everyone, because there's some things they need to be aware of and be comfortable with the steps that we're going to take on that. But right now, we believe that the contract is being defaulted on and that we have some leverage in how to address that. So, any other questions?
I'm shocked they're still in business. Like, how are people still using them?
It's beyond frustrating. Thank you for having that
Yep.
meeting.
I was mean too, right? Thank you. I put on my mean high school principal face. Another happy thing that came in like literally like an hour before the board meeting, and I needed to exit out of solar with a happy thing. Hey, look,
Really, you're taking us on a wild ride.
look, it's an adventure. Ryan's here. I got to put on a show for him. So, thanks. So right before we got here, Lauren told me we got a nice donation to food services, $200 from someone in our community. Hold on one sec. I want to get the name right. From Karen Burr in our community, who donated to help offset, costs of food services, specifically, meals for students who may be struggling to cover their deficit and stuff when it comes to school lunches. So we want to thank Karen for that lovely donation. We weren't expecting her anything like that. She just showed up today with the check and gave it to Lauren. And so we have to inform you of donations. So I wanted to inform the board and
Thank you
thank
so
Karen
much.
publicly.
Yeah,
So
thank you. That's great.
that is it for me.
Leaving it on a high note. Right
Look,
there.
I'm glad that one came in at the last second. I'm like, good, I can get out of here.
So just watching time, right, and recognizing our student representatives, is everyone okay if they, welcome to stick around, but you're also welcome to call it if you'd like. So
They don't know what to do yet.
You're
They're like,
welcome
wait,
to
is this
leave.
actually? Are you baiting us?
you're welcome to leave and enjoy the rest of your evening, or you're welcome to stay and hang out for the rest of our meeting tonight. It's up to you.
There is going to be a conversation about AP courses later on. So, is there any? Can we move that up? Maybe so that they.
They already made their choice. They're
Okay. All right.
Go enjoy your nights.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
too.
All right, we'll turn it over to Business Administrator Darling for an update.
All right, so obviously it's been a very busy couple of weeks with lots of things going on, and right now, as far as the budget goes, of course, we are being very cautious with our spending. Even though we're not implementing a hard freeze, we are being very mindful of our spending for anything that's not essential until we make a final decision, of course, on the school care payment. With regard to the DOE 25, as Brian mentioned a couple times, it has been submitted. During the call yesterday that we had with the Department of Education, they were basically saying that there's usually a cover sheet that goes with the DOE 25 that the school board needs to sign off on when you submit it, and they're waiting on receiving those until all districts make their decision on what they're doing, before everything is finalized. So once we've made that decision, I'll bring that to you for approval. And that will be the same thing with the DRA as well, actually, in the reports that go to them. With regard to the Prime program through Primex, I just want to let you know that we're continuing working on that certification. 2 policies that we have up for review tonight for first and second read are connected to that certification, that we need to have those policies in place. So that will continue, and I'll let you know once we have approval, hopefully, on that certification to get further discounts.
Okay. How are we doing with the upcoming budget?
It is in process. It's due, all the department heads and administrators will have their budgets to me by Friday this week. Brian and I will, the superintendent and I will meet with administrators the following week, and we're on target.
Okay.
Yeah. Feeling good about it.
Yeah.
I want to commend Julie. She's in her second year, and we don't have to go over her whole history, but we threw her in the deep end last year. Like using the DOE as like a catalyst here, just like it went so much smoother this year. Like we're on time with it. Everything's going great. You're doing a great job in your second year, like just managing everything, and I'm really proud of how the financials are going right now. We're in good shape for it all, so it's good.
Right. And we'll look forward to that budget season starting, and
I mean, that's always fun too.
I'm sure Julie's looking forward to it.
all right. Anything else? Any questions? All right, turn it over to Dr. Taylor for curriculum.
All right, I think this is like the least I'm ever going to talk, so which is really hard for me. But there's just been a lot going on, but something that I wanted to update everybody about is the state notified us a couple weeks ago that we are getting monitored for all our ESSA grants. So that's Title I, Title II, and Title IV. So I've already started working through some of the things and reaching out to other districts who have been monitored. I'm already part of a Southeasters group that has been talking about their monitoring process, and I went to a grants conference last week, and I actually talked to the head of the grants department up there, and they said, hey, so fun us, good job. So they're coming March 5th to kind of look at our policies, procedures, and everything relative to ESSA grants. So fun times. We're also getting monitored for SAS too. So like, woo! It's exciting times for CIA. I'm very happy about it.
I can tell.
She says sarcastically, not at all. No, it'll be fine. But yeah, but they flagged it because we're all new SAU administrators, so they're like, ooh.
We're gonna go check you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Any questions?
Oh, math vertical alignments next week. So anybody that wants to sub, we need subs. Middle school needs subs. So just put it out the all call next Thursday, October 9th.
Okay. October 9th, subs, got it.
Yep.
All right. Public minutes from September 17th, 2025.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here, and we can't vote, so those are going to get tabled to the next meeting. For new business, we have a request to actually move AP course weighting and exams up to new business. You okay with that, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So can we just make that update?
Yeah.
Talk about that now?
So we had someone reach out last year with a question in regards. So if you click on that first link, the program of studies, and you go to page 11, and this is related to our AP courses. And for those who don't know, we weight our courses at the high school. Honors have a 0.5 bump, and then AP courses and college dual enrollment courses have a 1 point bump associated with them. So in the program of studies and what has been procedure at the high school is to receive the GPA bump up to that the amounts that a student has to take the AP exam to take it. And the logic with that being is that the class is preparing you for the exam, and you need to finish it off by taking the exam to get the full AP experience, right? So that has been in there. We had a parent. It was a fine situation. Talked to the parent. We were all okay. Everything worked out. But a parent reached out last year just with questions regarding that procedure and whether we were comfortable with that. So I think we talked about it ever so briefly last year at a board meeting with the idea we would bring it back this year to have a longer conversation about our feelings about that procedure. If we were to change it, we can change it. It's not in a policy anywhere. So this is something we can update through conversation. We have not signed kids up for AP exams yet, so that will be happening over the next month-ish of time, give or take. So this is an appropriate time to have that conversation. We don't have to change it. We can change it. We can just talk about it. We can ask for additional information, whatever the case may be, but to just put it back on our radars and have a talk about it.
So it may come as a shock to you. I was not in AP courses. So you have to take the test in order for it to count for college, right? For colleges to recognize it?
For it to possibly count, right. So like, yeah, so like the rule of thumb is you need at least a qualifying school score, which is a 3, 4, or 5, before a college would consider taking the credit, right? And even then, it's ultimately up to the college whether or not they're going to take the credit. From my experiences, it ranges, like what colleges will accept an AP credit, what they will accept it for, so on and so forth. Some colleges, for example, may take and reward you a gen ed credit for the AP, but not necessarily to replace a like degree program or something like that. I did not take AP Calculus in high school, but I will use that as an example. So for example, if I took AP Calculus and took the exam and got a 5 on it, some schools, like UNH for example, would give credit for that, and you would skip Calc 1 and be able to take Calc 2, and that would be fine. A different school such as, and I've seen this in my experience, such as MIT, will not take that and say you have to go through our program. That's nice, we'll give you a gen ed math credit, but we're not going to allow you to skip ahead to Calculus 2 because we want you to take our calculus class. You're really at the mercy of the college and what they want to do for that. But the general rule of thumb is you need that qualifying score, 3, 4, 5, to do it. And there's debate on an AP class. What is the point of an AP class? I don't mean to make it that simple, but is the AP class the enriching subject area, or is it preparing you to take an exam? Like, and that's kind of a back and forth. In the perfect world, it's both, right? You're having a wonderful experience and you're ready to take that exam in May. But the AP class is geared around that exam. Like the curriculum is aligned and building you to that exam. So in a lot of people's opinion, it's an important part of that experience, taking this high stakes assessment on the curriculum that you have learned there.
So I have another question. So putting the exam aside,
Mhm.
an AP course, in terms of as compared to like a non-AP course.
Yep.
Is there, this is gonna sound stupid, but like,
No.
what is the difference in workload? Are they taking other exams? Like,
Yep, great question. I think every course is different. I think the short answer is an AP class is a higher level of rigor and curriculum than an average class, right? Because you're taking it, a lot of AP classes now, especially our dual enrollment classes, which have to follow along with college curriculum, right? Many AP courses do both at the same time, so you can get a dual enrollment credit for the course, and you can also do it through the AP exam. We were just having this conversation because Julie's kiddo is in an AP class on how to approach that. So again, depending on where you're looking to apply that credit in the future, people need to reach out to colleges that they're interested in to get direct answers. But there's advantages to the dual enrollment in the AP. But the short answer is an AP or a dual enrollment course is doing curriculum that's at the college level versus the high school level.
so I guess if the workload is equivalent to a college level and there's, it's not, I guess my concern would be if there's not some like, big, the exam is like a big culminating piece of that, right? In college, I don't think I ever had a class that I didn't have a final in.
Yeah.
So as long as there was that level of workload, then that's what you're getting the bump for.
Yeah.
Right? So I would just want to be sure that was actually the case.
Yeah, I think that, and different schools handle this differently, right? And I've worked at different schools in different school districts. Timberlane, for example, they did when I was there. I don't know if they still do this, but when I was there, the school district paid for the AP exams. So it was a requirement for every kid to take the exam because they budgeted for that, right? At Bow, it was not a requirement, but the vast majority of kids did it, but a lot of them, but there were others who didn't as well, right? It was a personal choice whether or not
Did they get the
took
GPA bump at
There's
Bow?
no weighted grades at Bow.
So
there
that's
was
a difference,
That is a
yeah.
different conversation, right? So like that would take it or leave it. I mean, you want kids to take the AP exam, one, because you want to see how they did, right? Like if you're teaching the class
Right.
effectively, and it's a good indicator. And, if you're the teacher and you take pride, you want your kids to do well. You want to see that. You want to highlight their success and stuff like that. And there is value in taking that level of an exam. It does mimic the rigor of a college exam, a college final, particularly if you're going to take a course down the road that might be midterm final like that's your grade in college, right? Like this is an experience for that. There's a cost associated with AP exams. I forget what they are. What is it?
$110.
$110. Julie just wrote the check. $110. And so, like any school district, if a kid does not have the ability to cover that fund, if a family is in a situation where they're struggling with that, we will take care. There's avenues to take care of that, whether it's through College Board, AP to take care of that, whether it's from other resources that we have from a school district. We take care of kids who are in a situation that they cannot afford an exam. So that hopefully is never a reason why a kid's opting not to take an exam, because we can work around that, and shouldn't be a hurdle. So I think it comes down to if we feel it is required experience for that course, then it's something that should be tied to the GPA weight. If it's something you that we don't think is a required experience for the AP course, then there shouldn't be a different, whether you take the exam or not, your weight is dependent on it, if that makes sense.
So, sorry to dominate the questions, but I'm
They're good questions.
So this is gonna sound really silly, but you know how with lunch, if the kids don't take the fruit and vegetable, like we get penalized?
Yep.
Is there anything like that with? Is there anything like that with like? Is there any well like grants or stuff like that? Is there anything that ties to like if a certain number of kids take that, there's a benefit to the district as a whole?
Nope. Okay. Like, and I will say this at Timberland, it is rare because usually kids who are taking AP courses are invested in their academics. Like, rarely is there that different, right? But like at Timberlane, when it was a required element, you would see kids once in a while blow off the test, so they're not going to score. So when you look at an average for a class, like there might be one or two kids who did not invest their time and energy into it, which means they're getting a 1 on the exam, which means it's lowering your school average for that exam. I don't think that, I think that's irrelevant. It is what it is, right? That's not a reason not to require something because you're worried about a kid. Like, that's rare. There aren't many
Who
kids.
chooses that workload? And I was like,
Right. My kids.
Kids do crazy things. Like,
There's a fair amount of students, I don't want to say fair amount. I think the number of students was on the rise who wanted the GPA bump but didn't want to take the exam. So they wanted to have the higher weighted extra point on their GPA. Super smart, really intelligent kids that do fine in the class and do great in the class, but then don't take the high stakes test. And so this policy, my understanding, was put into place to sort of deter the sole motivation being to take an AP class for an AP bump, a GPA bump, but rather to have to go through all of the rigor that AP classes culminate to, which is the test.
yeah, I mean, for me, it just boils down to is it actually college equivalent if you're not having that sort of benchmark at the end?
I mean, they don't get any credit. I mean, it's an AP class, right? So, I mean, I think the teachers could weigh in to say, is a kid who's not taking the AP exam trying harder than a kid who is taking the AP exam?
I mean, the grade's still going on their transcript.
Right.
So, like, you would think the effort is there in the day-to-day for the grade, right? And most AP courses, there are high assessments built into the actual course because you're preparing them for that ultimate high assessment at the end of it, right? So the argument for like the weight shouldn't be tied to it is you are putting all this work to maintain your actual grade in the class the entire way through, right?
But if you get
So-
a B in that class, you're still getting an A because you have the extra point there.
But my concern with that though was like, you go through a college course, right? And that's all well and good. You put the work in the whole time, but I think every one of my college courses at the end, there was something that was worth like 50% of my grade, right? So if I was just like, yeah, but I'm not going to do that though. Like I'm just going to, I worked hard the rest of the time. That doesn't really meet the spirit of a college course to me.
And I think people just have different opinions on whether that exam is an essential part of the course, right?
Yeah.
And
that's okay.
I actually don't have like a passionate one way or the other, right? I would encourage every kid to take the exam. You did all the work. You might as well see how you did on the exam. It's 2 hours of your life. Like it's not the end of the world. But also I understand like the course is what's like really important. The learning is what you're doing is the important part. But like I understand that the exam is an experience that kids need to have to prepare for college. And if we want to say that's an integral part of this course, then I'm comfortable with that as well.
How many kids are in AP? Sorry, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, Val, how many kids are in AP?
It's awesome that you,
Yeah, Val. I caught you at the corner of my eye. You snuck in.
Yeah, no, I've been here.
Yeah, no.
Ballpark, right? Doesn't?
Yep, ballpark, yep. Hold, I can get that information exactly for you. Can you just give me a second?
No worries.
Sorry, sick kid at home.
20?
We're talking about 100 exams, I would guess, right?
Oh, we're less
Like you
this
might
year.
have kids taking
We're less
multiple
this year.
exams, right? But like, let's say a school of your size, you're probably taking about a quarter of the kids. So let's say about 100 exams, right? That was the math at the other schools.
And
I
some
was
are
at.
taking multiple.
Some are taking multiple, right? A high-end kid might be taking like 4 or 5 in a given year. maybe a kid's testing it out and taking one, you know, depending on where they are, what their desire is.
And they can
Well,
take
you
them
know,
junior year.
I mean,
and
here's
not
the
just
thing.
senior
They
year.
can take it, right? With the policy the way it is, they can take it. They just don't get the bump if they
Correct.
Don't get the bump.
So there you go. That's easy enough.
I don't have
If
a-
you're doing it for the educational experience, then you're doing it for the educational experience.
I feel like they
Question
should
for
take
you.
the test.
Sure.
If that's okay, while Val's looking. So would, in your mind then, like, or just thinking about it, would it be okay then for a kid to do all the AP work, which can be super strenuous, which can be demanding, which has them doing summer work sometimes, right? And then taking the test just to get the bump. But then, because we aren't going to be able to like analyze whether or not the score was because they truly did try and still only got like a 2, or if they just went to the test and decided they were gonna not really care because they can still get the bump. And then the kid who maybe could have got a 5 or a 6, but for whatever reason, whether it's financial or just not thinking ahead at the time, like I've had a lot of kids in the past be like, oh man, I really wish I was taking the AP test. And it's too late because you have to register. They have deadlines and like things.
I'm accepted. Payments are due by November 1st.
Right. So like right now, when I've barely even started the class and gotten to the stuff that I might be really great at, I have to decide if I want to take that test. And like, I don't know. I think the way our policy reads or the procedure, whatever, I don't love it. It doesn't personally sit good for me from like an equity standpoint for a number of ways. That said, if we're going to try to budget, if we're going to make everybody take the test because it's part of the whole experience, it's really hard to budget for that because you have to guess. Like I would have to be guessing now how many kids I think might be taking an AP test next spring.
That's why
Not
I'm,
this
that's why I'm
coming
asking the question.
55, we have 55 kids taking tests this year.
Right.
55 kids, but how many tests does that equate to?
We could get the
Those
number.
are 55, those are
55
55 tests.
tests.
Okay.
So, right.
Yes, sorry.
But last year was
So
much
we have an honors level.
Last year was
and
higher.
an AP
This
Last
year
year
is
was
much lower.
Right, but we might have like but how would I wouldn't know right now. Right this minute, it would be really hard to know how many kids would want to take it, like would want to do it next year. It's a hard thing to budget for.
I would not, I will say I would advocate to not budget for that because like
Are we talking about budgeting from the perspective of us paying for
paying
it?
for the
Parents
test.
pay
Like I think
for
that,
it. I paid for my kids.
No, I understand that, but
I don't
that
think
doesn't-
that's something we can.
We're talking about budgeting right now.
Well, I think that the argument is if we, like Timberlane's
Require it.
philosophy, they budgeted for it, so you're taking it. Like we have taken care, like the district's philosophy on that was like, this is required for anyone who takes an AP kid, and we feel so strongly about it, we will pay for your
Well,
exam.
but we're saying this is required if you want the GPA bump.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And I don't love that because I just gave you a situation where I could work my butt, I could do all the work in the class, and for whatever reason, I don't have the money, I'm embarrassed, I don't want to, I don't think I'm a good test taker, I had a bad day, I forgot the deadline, whatever, so I don't sign up to take the test.
The only part of that that's compelling to me is the I don't have the money piece, which we've already talked about. That
Well, right,
we
have-
right like
we can pay
my opinion is if we have an honors level, you can do that, right? Or we have an AP level, which like my problem is that I did not go to a single college course or college where they said to me, yeah, and if you just don't think you're going to do well in the final, you don't have to take it, right? And that's my problem is like if you want to go, you could go to honors, or if you're feeling really energetic, you could go to AP. But if you want the reward for really achieving the full experience of what an AP course is designed for, then you should be going through the whole component of it for that bump.
So
We're
you
talking
take
about a
the
bump,
test, right?
correct?
But you
For the bump, if you want the bump.
So you take the test, but you're taking the test and then mandating that families pay for it.
If they want a GPA
No,
bump.
Right.
Then don't take the class.
Right.
If they want a GPA bump.
But my point is they can sign up to take the test. They don't care about the money or their parents are paying for it. So it's like, whatever. And they still get the GPA bump. I guess my point is a kid could theoretically get the GPA bump and blow the test off either way, right?
Sure.
Or and but the classwork doesn't change. So the kid who takes the
But
test.
I think the discussion is the exam itself a core component of the course.
Yes.
Yes.
I think if the answer is yes, then you have to, then if that's gonna be our answer, then you gotta take the exam to get the
So I'm
AP weight.
gonna come at this from a different perspective, which is to say, we have a handbook. We approved this handbook in August, and kids signed up for classes with their handbook, knowing this policy. So for me, in terms of changing a policy mid-year that we have had, I don't think now, not that I think we should have the discussion. I'm not at all saying not to have the discussion. I don't think we should be changing things mid-year, and that if the conversation amongst CHS administrators is we want to take a different approach to this, then to me, the time to approach that would be over the summer and with the handbook next
In the
August.
program of studies. Like,
Sorry.
I think, yeah, no, but
Okay,
I see what you're saying.
No, but you're right. Yeah, program of studies, whatever it is. But that's where it should, that's when the timeliness of it, to me, because if kids are picking their classes and already know this, I mean, again, the other issue with that particular parent situation was there was concern about not knowing that this was, and I don't necessarily agree with that.
I trying to protect the parent a little bit.
No,
like-
I understand, but I think that there's been a great job done, particularly this year, with getting out efforts to parents and to families to make sure they know. So that concern, I think, has been addressed. And then in terms of changing a policy or I'm sorry, not a policy, because I should use the right word, a practice mid-year, I would prefer to wait until next year, until it's time to review. So that's my thought.
And money has never been an issue for a kid. Like, we have done reduction in fees, we've done free fee, like, we always make it work. So I have been, in my 5 years, I've never had a kid come to me and be like, I can't afford to take it. Figure it out. So that's never been a concern.
Well, so I guess since we just went through this whole exercise now, given that I agree that it shouldn't be changed for this year, but, you know, it's going to go forward and there's going to be a discussion to be had. There's 3 of us here now that, I'm definitively in the mindset of if you want that extra bump, you should be taking the test. You're more than welcome to take the class and get the experience and all that other stuff. You just don't get the extra benefit of it reflecting as if you did the full college
I
experience.
understand your point. I'm disappointed though, because this was a discussion point and my understanding was we were trying to make a change for this year, right? So I think that's a miss, because we were trying to get this done for this year, and if that's the board decision and we're gonna wait a whole nother year, I think that's a shame.
Well, so let me ask you, is your opinion that it should be changed?
Yeah, I think we should, I think that we should enforce the test.
Isn't that what we do already?
That's what we do.
We do already.
We already
What
do.
are we changing in this?
We're
program
not.
of studies?
I think we're saying we're not going to.
We're gonna keep it the same.
That, like, I think we're having the discussion of whether or not we agree with what is currently in place, right? Which
So
is.
what is your point about what needs to change?
I just
Sorry,
wonder
pointing to principal.
if for next year, not for this year. This year, I agree. It's too like we already started. We're 5 weeks into school, and the ad drop is all done. I was looking for Val. But I think we should consider if we just say if you're going to take an AP class, you're going to take the test. Because I think both both groups of people could take advantage of the situation. So why not make them all take it anyway? So like I gave you my scenario. Like, I'm a kid, I'm taking the test, I'm getting that GPA bump.
Well, so
But I'm still gonna blow off the test because I don't like taking tests.
the only reason why I wouldn't take it that far is because if there is that one kid who is too embarrassed to talk about the money side of it, I don't want to put the parent in that position. So I think I agree with you. Like, I would like to do that. If it was free, I would say by all means. That's where I think, I know that there's assistance for it, but if there's someone who's just too embarrassed to have that conversation, I don't want to put them in that position.
So right now, current policy is if you want the GPA bump, you need to take the test. The window for signing up for the class for the test is currently up until November 1st. So any student who is registered for or taking an AP class right now can, if they want the GPA bump, go ahead and sign up for the test.
All currently registered for the test. except for the classes that are dual enrollment classes.
Which is separate.
That's a separate thing.
Yep.
So those classes, it's our computer courses, they could take like AP
Yep.
programming 2 or 3.
Yep.
That's a dual enrollment class, so they opt for the dual enrollment. They still have a project they have to do, but that's like it's the college equivalent. So those kids typically have not taken the AP exam because it's the college level dual
Yep.
enrollment course. Every single other student that is registered for an AP class is signed up to take the test right now. They haven't paid yet. Those letters are going out Monday, but they're signed up. They're saying yes.
So they're not like surprised by this. It's being communicated at the beginning. All right. So
we're
literally,
committed
we
to-
just had a conversation about
We
doing
committed
nothing.
to having the discussion, which is what we're doing right now. So you don't have to do anything, we just have to do what we're doing.
I'm comfortable with the policy as is.
Yeah.
And if there are any changes that need to be made, they can be made
That was much
the
ado
next
about
time.
nothing then.
Yeah, sorry.
That's Andrew's worst nightmare, is that we just wasted time on something that we.
No, it's good to educate people on some of that and stuff, so. All right, do we want,
Where are we in the agenda? Okay,
Parking.
back up,
Parking.
Now we're back to A.
Parking at Litchfield, okay, so yes, parking at Litchfield schools during after-school hours. So I had a real beef with this one.
Oh boy, what's the matter?
This is Bears football at Campbell. What? Yeah.
so I talked to the president.
So the Bears football league uses Campbell facilities, and the parking. I couldn't even turn my car down the way they were parking their vehicles for this football program, right? And there's no way you'd be able to park or get a fire apparatus behind Campbell High School or down the side.
They're not
lot.
parking in parking spaces?
They're not parking in parking spaces.
Parking
They're
in fire lanes.
They're parking in fire lanes. They're parking wherever the hell they want, right?
Do we have signs that say you get towed at your own risk?
Yeah, we do, but it's allegedly the Bears. It seems to correspond with whenever the Bears are here, so we won't, maybe some of our people as well, but yes, it seems to be on the nights the Bears are here. So I personally spoke to the president of the Bear Association and said, we gotta clean this up if you wanna keep being here, and we'll do our part too. We'll talk to our people if there's anyone who is here for one of our events and not following it, but can you speak to all your people? We'll see how it goes. It was better today. I think today was a bear day.
So we have
Left
signs
to
that
come
say
over.
you can be towed at your own expense?
Yeah, and you can't park in fire alarm.
Well, no, I
period.
understand that, but if we do that, like, my opinion is just tell them. You'll find out who it is real quick when they have to complain about their car being towed.
We have reached out, so hopefully it is better. We'll monitor it, and if it is not, we will
There you
take more drastic steps.
Do we get paid for that program?
No.
So we donate the fields.
Yeah, we have Litchfield kids who are.
Yeah, we have, it's Litchfield, Hudson,
It,
Litchfield Bears.
it falls into that, our kids participate in it, so we wouldn't charge a fee for it, you know?
Yeah.
There's a policy that outlines who falls into what group, and that's their group, so.
Why is it our fields and not rec then?
They do use some Hudson facilities as well. I don't know why they're here on those days, like, I don't know what the.
Middle school and Hudson Middle School.
Yeah, I don't know what is the crux of why those days they're here, if the field's not available in Hudson on that day, but like,
I'm gonna guess, yeah, maybe soccer at the
we
same
also
time.
get more of the spirit kids than we do the football kids, like they're,
Yes, we do.
yeah, they're at the LMS a lot. I don't know why they use our facility more frequently for that, maybe we have better mats, cause we got them donated last year.
Have some mats.
So, yeah, but we will monitor it.
Okay.
Be better.
Policy.
Great. First one, we didn't do any changes to it, so this is just informative. Restraints and seclusion, there's nothing you have to do. The next two, I think I updated this too, so you can actually see my comments that show you the changes on these, even though this is relevant for these two policies. So this is part of the Primex, Primex Plus, what's it called? Primex. Prime 3 program. So we get a discount on our Primex insurance. We have to have a certain collection of policies. We didn't have these two policies, or didn't have the right stuff in these two policies, so I'm updating them. They gave us, why you see Dairy's policies in there, because Primex gave those as the two model policies that they
And
wanted us to
HSBA
use.
doesn't have these
Yeah,
policies.
they don't have the seatbelt one, the New Hampshire School Board Association. So we just copied Dairy's word for word. I know the superintendent over there, so we're good, like copying it word for word. What's that?
They should be flattered.
They should be flattered. No, he is. I'm sure he is. So ours, is the Litchfield one for the seatbelt is theirs, adjusted. We ran this through Primex. They're good with that. To summarize that policy, if you are in a district vehicle, you have to wear your seatbelt, like if you're the driver. For example, if one of our facility guys is using the facility's truck to move something from the high school to the middle school, they have to wear their seatbelt. That's what that says. So that's that first policy. The second one I want to talk a little bit about, using passenger vehicles to transport students for school activities. You'll see our current policy, you'll see the school board association suggested one, the dairy one, and then the proposed one that we have here, which is kind of a Frankenstein of all three of those, right? There's some additional stuff we wanted that our lawyers recommended that we maintain from our current policy, and continue to have in our policy. There was stuff that Primax needed in that policy that we've now added to that policy, and obviously used the sample school board association policy as kind of the launching off point. The other thing we did is we took out the procedural forms associated that and made them standalone documents. So if there's ever a need to update those, we can just do that separately without having to revisit the policy. You want to make one just note, because we spoke this through with legal, and it's an important note for people to understand this, because we get this question quite frequently. If the school district is electing not to provide transportation to an event, then we are not going to ask how people are getting to that event. Because if we ask, then we're responsible in some level. So for example, give you a practical example. Our hockey team practices off-site at an arena, right? We're a co-op group that practices at an arena. I think the Hooksett Arena is the one that they use.
They do.
Concord?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. We obviously don't transport them to practice. We don't drive them a bus there. So we don't ask them how they get to that practice. And we can do that because we don't provide transportation to that. What that allows is for the kids to carpool with each other, for parents to take another kid who's not their kid with them, so on and so forth. If we're asking to, like, why you're transporting, then we're responsible and our legality goes up. So that's just an important note. So if we elect to not provide transportation to an event, it may be to allow, in theory, to allow families to transport kids that are not their own. So, for example, if there's a robotics competition in, say, Burlington, Vermont, and we say we're not providing transportation to that event, that allows one of the robotics parents to not only transport their own kid, but, another kid on the team, so on and so forth. So, does that make sense? Because it's an important designation, and we're trying to represent that in this policy. So, it's an important thing. Operationally, we take care of it on the school side, but that's why there's not language in here allowing those type of things, because we have to protect ourselves from a legality standpoint.
Makes sense.
So I ask if you could approve those two first, and if you could do a first and second read if you are comfortable, so we can get those to
Do we
Primax.
need like a disclaimer in our handbook about that? component
No,
of it?
because if you don't say anything, you're not liable. Because we're not asking how you do it. We don't ask people how they get to school every day, right? Like, you can take our school bus, but if your parent drops you off, like, we're not checking that that's your parent that's dropping you off.
Right, yeah.
So, and these are all co-curriculars. We're not required by the state to provide transportation to them.
Yeah, but you're legally required to go, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's all right.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve policy EBBA and policy EEAG for first and second read.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Ms. Ames. Discussion?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 3-0.
Did you say the hockey team drives to Concord for practice?
Hand games. Yep,
Yeah, 'cause
that's
they're-
their homework.
There's only like 3 in the state,
With
so.
Pembroke,
Yeah.
their other team.
And someone else, right?
No, it's Pembroke and Campbell. It's actually
There's a third team, but.
fun time. I
Is
like
there,
hockey.
to speed this along, I've reviewed the policies over the weekend. For first read policies, any questions with what is proposed?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion to first read policy BDF, policy BGD, and policy EG.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Ms. Ames. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained? 3-0. For second read?
This one we did as a first and second read, this top one, I'm noticing that as we're sitting here.
Which one?
The meeting minutes,
BEDG, yeah, we've
Oh,
already.
we did, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't take that off.
just
We
as
did
that
do
one.
that as first and
Yeah,
second.
but the other ones are for second
Yep.
read.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve as second read policy EBBB, policy JICH, policy JLCD, policy JLCJA.
Second.
And in a second, additional discussion.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 3-0. All right, now, old business, GMS.
We'll go through this fast because we're getting later now. We had a meeting that was supposed to happen last week, but Harriman got sick. Lisa, their main project person, got really sick, so she postponed the meeting. We are meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day for us for the project. They're finishing their last meeting. They're meeting with via Zoom with Jen Grantham to go over the programming at the middle school. They did the programming with Jen Mitchinson for the high school this week. Last week, end of last week, they're all blurs together. They've done the thing at the high school, and obviously met with the elementary and all of their staff previously as well. So they're talking to Jen tomorrow, and they'll talk to the high school staff next week. So we'll have our bi-weekly meetings tomorrow with Harriman. They're finishing up all their
Am
programming.
I coming that? Like I am. I'm losing track of which ones.
Right.
I'll add.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure.
Also tomorrow, we have put our construction manager RFP out, and are in the process. We're doing our pre-bid meeting with interested candidates tomorrow prior to the Harriman meeting. If you want to come to that, you can. We're not going to open that up to everyone on the FIC for that, but you can to go over with the interested people. And when that wraps up in a couple of weeks, we'll have a construction manager for the board to say yay or nay to for that. So we're making progress on that. Bond counsel, we met with I spoke with Renell, who was the attorney who handled the bond for the last project. The town also recognized she is the person to do this with the state. So you'll see two things on the agenda. The first is the engagement letter with her. If the board is comfortable, I will sign and return that and secure her services for as we go through the bond proposal. And then we have our bond checklist, and we'll start going through that and taking up all the steps we need to do to secure our bond with Renell. She'll help us through the process and stuff like that. She has a lot of the records from the previous work that she's done for the district. So some of those things on the checklist are already done because she already has them. So we're in good shape for that. Is the board comfortable with me signing that on behalf of the district?
I am. Full disclosure, I used to work at Divine Willamette. It's been 12 years, so it's been significant enough time that but I did know Renell there,
Okay.
and she's fantastic.
She seemed lovely. Yeah.
She is. She's great, and she's super knowledgeable on this topic, but full disclosure.
She's got a typo.
Does she? On the letter?
In her fees.
In her what?
In her fees.
Oh, does she? Is it too much?
Well, she's missing a 0 in 8,000, so it's 800 to 12,000.
Oh, I'll ask her to switch that. I guess technically it's 800 to 12,000. It's just a huge range.
Right. So on the lower end, it's great.
Yeah. See if we get it for $800. So I'll ask her to adjust that, but otherwise, are we comfortable with Renell?
Yeah, and that money's coming out of.
It will come out at the end, so she doesn't get paid until the project has hypothetically passed. So that's what she's working towards. So, and if it doesn't pass, my understanding is she doesn't get paid. So.
How does that work?
I don't know. That's how she explained it to me.
That doesn't sound right to me.
I can ask her to clarify a little bit. But she stressed to me that she doesn't accept the money until the project's passed, so.
Is that detailed in this?
It should be.
It should be.
This is their standard client engagement letter.
I'll make sure I got that squared away with her.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah, right here. Our fee is typically paid at the closing of the bonds, and we customarily do not submit any statement until the closing. If, however, the bonds are not authorized, this financing is not completed as scheduled, or if another bond financing is contemplated in the future, we reserve the right to capture our time spent on this financing and submit an invoice to you for our fees for such services.
There we go.
So we will get
We will get a bill.
the bill.
No free work for us.
Nope.
All right.
So where is that?
I would think at that point, depending on the specific bill, we have the reserve fund where we could take it from to cover that. That's connected to these projects and everything like that. We have our own legal account that we have, using her estimate here of let's assume 8,000 to 12,000. Our obviously we're spending money on our own lawyers currently, but we have much more than $12,000 in that legal line that we have for the district. So that would be the first place we would look to cover it is our lawyer line. And then if for some reason we weren't able to cover it through that, we could always look at the reserve fund. But we have multiple legal lines. Special ed has a legal line. We have a legal line for the SAU. So we should be able to
I'll make a
cover it.
motion to approve the engagement letter for bond counsel.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Ms. Ames. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 3-0.
And the last thing, we have our community forum next Tuesday. We've been advertising for that at GMS at 6 o'clock. Everyone in the community is welcome to join us to talk with the design team and our pre-construction services firm, Harriman, about the project as we develop the design statement and as they look for community input on the project.
Okay, October 7th. Sounds good. All right.
We did the AP, so we're good there.
Perfect. Yep. On the manifest this evening, the board has a payroll of $409,943.42, 403B and NHR of $241,729.13, a manual check of $4,321.94. Accounts payable of $427,039.71. Another accounts payable of $33,589.98. Another accounts payable of $194,524.64. And another accounts payable of $3,229.50. And that covers our manifest for this evening. With that, we'll move into our second round of community inputs.
I promise. Elizabeth McDonald, 46 Natticook Ave. As a parent of a child who took AP classes here, he took 3 AP classes. He got a 5 on 2 and a 3 on another. St. Anselm took both of his credits. So for $99 or $110, he did not have to take English. He did not have to take, he used the other 2 as electives. He was a big history buff. For me, that was an investment and I have noticed the kids who do take AP in his friend group, not making any general, you know what I mean, no sweeping generalizations, that kids that are taking AP classes, they're in it for the credit. They're in it to learn. They're in it to get that experience of a high stakes testing. And to me, it was money well spent. And I do agree that I do think Campbell, being part of Campbell for so many years, we have a good idea who might need some help, and they have a good handle on kids. And I think every student has a relationship with one person. They could share their need if they needed financial assistance. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other comments tonight? All right, we'll close school board comments. The board does have non-public business this evening under RSA 91A3, A through C. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Shoemaker.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ames. Roll call vote. Mr. Shoemaker.
Aye.
I am an aye. Ms. Ames.
Aye.
That carries 3-0. All right, that concludes our public session.